live here obviously from Montepulciano. I'm at Osteria del Borgo right now. My name is Francesco from the Perbacco Wine Club. I'm pretty sure you guys know me by this point. And I'm gonna deactivate everybody else's audio, yeah? Okay, so I was saying before, welcome to this beautiful online tasting. Today we'll be showcasing one of my favorite wineries, this incredible project, whose name is Bakkanali. This crazy, beautiful winery from the Amiata volcano. So we'll be exploring a new area of winemaking for Tuscany. Today we'll be getting to know a new winery, a skilled winemaker whose name is Ugo Fabbri. This project was started in 2022. So today we'll be tasting all of their first batches, all of their first vintages. So this is very exciting for me because I truly believe in this project. Besides the friendship and the relationship that I have with these lovely people that work at Bakkanali with the young and energetic team, I really believe in this area, in this terroir, and this soil that is Monte Amiata, the beautiful volcano that pretty much, surrounded by Tuscany, the volcano that towers all this area where I live in Tuscany, Montepulciano, Val d'Orcia, Montalcino, all Grosseto and Maremma. So it's a very important mountain that we have in this area. So that's the future of winemaking. We'll be talking about climate change as well. We'll be talking about many interesting things, about new techniques of winemaking. But first, I will start with an introduction, as usual. Then I will have a beautiful chat with Ugo, the winemaker of Bakkanali that is online with us. And then we'll start the tasting. You guys feel free to ask questions or, write questions in the chats, or I can activate your video anytime. All right. So I'm going to start with the introduction. Here we are. Bakkanali, with the beautiful Monte Amiata in the background. Tuscan wine will never be the same. The presentation was done by me. This beautiful field of Val d'Orcia with the beautiful Mount Amiata on the background. This scenery might look very familiar to many of you guys that have been to Tuscany. This is one of the most beautiful landscapes that we have in Tuscany, one of the most beautiful areas, 10 minutes driving from Montepulciano, perhaps. You have the beautiful Val d'Orcia, the Orcia Valley, which is this beautiful landscape that you see. On the background, the Mount Amiata. So here you see the map from Bakkanali. So Montepulciano is here on the lower part of Tuscany. Even lower, you have Montalcino and the Monte Amiata with Bakkanali Winery. So Bakkanali Winery is not far from Montalcino, actually, and it's very interesting. So the main thing you need to know in order to understand these wines is that the easiest way to describe these wines is probably they are a beautiful Sangiovese. What Brunello di Montalcino used to taste 25 years ago, before climate change, probably. Yeah, you have that energy, that power, that beautiful intensity, that vibrance, and now Montalcino, with the weather being warmer in the last 25, 30 years, the Brunello is a little bit bigger, a little bit more full-bodied. But Bakkanali is a beautiful expression of Sangiovese, more fresh, because it's a little bit higher up. So the Monte Amiata towers the southern side of Tuscany. Here's a beautiful aerial photo, a drone photo from the winery of Bakkanali. You see the top of the Amiata volcano, which is 1,738 meters above the sea level, so 5,700 feet above the sea level. And this is the winery Bakkanali, this beautiful, exciting project. We are here about 600 meters above the sea level, so 1,800 feet above the sea level. But these guys are so crazy that they built a vineyard. They planted a vineyard of a French varietal. Then Ugo will talk about this, even higher up, almost 3,000 feet above the sea level. This is pretty crazy. These are the people behind the wines. So on the left, Ugo Fabbri, on the right, Sebastian Nadello, the pioneers of the volcano. So these guys are two real good friends of mine, and they became friends pretty much like they say on their website, at a table, and I was sitting at the same table with them. So we pretty much started together in the wine industry, and I respect these two guys as friends and as wine professionals as well. And I always say that while Sebastian, the winemaker, is more like the sparkle that ignites everything, but Ugo is the fuel, that brings his energy to the winery in terms of winemaking and also in terms of sales as well. So I wanted to introduce other two beautiful dogs. On the left, you have Amaro, the dog by Sebastian. On the right, you have Brownie, Ugo's dog. But this photo is beautiful because you can tell, Amaro, this beautiful wolf, is standing in the vineyard. And the vineyard, you can see that you have a lot of cover crops here. These ones are, I think, fava beans. This tells a lot about the way the winery, was conceived as a biodynamic winery, creating an ecosystem in which the vineyard, is very centric in the ecosystem, but it's helped by other plants and by, the synergy between man and nature, and dogs in this case as well. And this beautiful footage of Brownie, Ugo's dog, shows the incredible landscape that you have on the background. From the top of the winery, you can see Montalcino very well. You can almost see until the sea, the Tyrrhenian Sea. All the valley that you can see over there is Maremma, which is another beautiful valley. So, there's incredible climate conditions for this wine. Okay. I had to put Greta Thunberg in this presentation. I'm sorry about that. You guys know me by this point, We have a special guest, which is Greta Thunberg. So of course, talking about a new project that is a little bit higher up in altitude, made in a mountain pretty much. Of course, I wanted to talk about climate change. I don't want to be all Greta Thunberg on you, but climate is changing. Temperatures are increasing. We calculate that half Celsius degrees every 10 years. It's how much the temperature is raising in Europe, which is the continent that is the most sensitive to climate change, in which there's been higher average temperatures compared to the rest of the world. So in this map, which is kind of warning, it's a map that became kind of viral on social media in the last days. You can see how the regions suitable for growing Chardonnay grape are shifting towards higher latitudes, and this is kind of worrying, because by year 2100 we won't be making wine in Italy, probably in some parts of Italy. We won't be making wine in south of Spain, in the Mediterranean countries, which have been wine producers ever since Romans, Etruscans, for Greeks for 4,000 years almost. And this is kind of scary, it's happening pretty fast. Now, of course, this graphic is very dramatic situation, but I'm pretty sure we'll be able, as mankind, to find solutions to this problem. But I figured that I wanted to show you this video. New climate, new challenges. So what are the new challenges that we are facing with this new climate that we are living, at least in Tuscany? I'm speaking with the experience I have of Tuscany and all the winemaker friends that I have in this beautiful region. So the first problem is that we are having mild winters. So temperatures, they rarely go below 0 Celsius, so below 32 Fahrenheit. And this means that the plants have a shorter hibernation and a shorter period to rest as well, a shorter period to recover the energies from the previous annual life cycle, from the previous vintage. So this is the first issue. Another issue is the early start of the annual life cycle of the plant, leaving them more exposed to spring frosts. One, weather event that is becoming more and more common in the last few years, and Burgundy in France and Champagne in France are the two biggest victims of this issue that we are having, but also Tuscany and Piedmont and all of Italy, are late frosts. This means that, having mild winters, the annual life cycle of the vine starts earlier on. So the bud breaks happens earlier and makes that the plant is more exposed when the temperature goes in the spring for 1, 2, 3, 4 hours below zero. The buds, they can freeze and they'll be gone forever. So you have no grape on that bud for that particular year. This is how we lost 40% of the crops in 2017, for instance. Not only we had a long drought in 2017, but we had the late frost the 18th of April. So, we had this in 2021, in 2021 and 2022, but it was not as bad as 2017 and 2021. So this is another problem. Another problem is that we have more precipitations during the spring, risking to having fungus and molds in the vineyard, like it happened 2023, for instance. 2023, we had a lot of rain, which we are not used to. You came here, for the ones that have visited Italy 2023, Tuscany looked like Ireland. It was so green in June. It was crazy. It was raining every day. So that was another problem that we had in 2023. But the commonest problem, the main problem, is that we have dry and hot summers. Like I said before, the temperature is raising every 10 years of 0.5 Celsius degrees, which is a lot if we're talking about average temperatures. And then the last problem is that we are having more extreme weather events, such as heavy storms, long droughts like 2017, not only the frost from April till September, no rain at all. 2022, we had a long drought as well that ended the 16th of August, I think. I remember around the 16th of August, we have hailstorms, we have frosts, so it's not easy to cope with this climate change. So how are we coping with this climate change? So one solution is the one by Bakkanali, is to plant the vineyards at higher altitudes where, of course, is possible. You see this beautiful vineyard from Bakkanali, it's 600 meters above the sea level. They have another 3,000 feet to go upwards, because the summit of the volcano is 5,700 feet, and they are 1,800 feet above the sea level. So there's room in the Amiata volcano to go up. And this is why a lot of wineries in Montalcino are now buying more and more vineyards in the Amiata volcano. So another important aspect, which something that, our grandparents, our farmers were doing back in the days, cover crops. Cover crops are fundamental, crucial. I took this photo, I think it was June 2023, if I'm not wrong, or May 2023, this picture of Amaro laying in this beautiful bed of fava beans, which are a crucial cover crop that is used more and more often here in Tuscany, at least. So the cover crops are very useful for green manure. They fertilize the soil. Cross-pollination, they attract the bees with their flowers. And, the bees are important for cross-pollination. And it's crucial to create an ecosystem around the vineyard. They're useful for soil draining in the spring when we have a lot of rain. And they offer a beautiful relief to the hydric stress in the summer during the droughts to the vineyard. And also is a regenerative practice for the soil, that guarantees the biodiversity in the soil in terms of good insects, worms, etc., etc. So another important aspect, if you have visited Europe 30 years ago, Burgundy, Champagne, Tuscany, Piedmont, if you visited Europe 30 years ago, you would have seen in the summer that there were not so many leaves in the vineyard, because it was common practice to cut some of the leaves, to trim some of the leaves on top of the plant to make that the grapes were absorbing as much sun as possible. Now it's the opposite. We have to kind of shelter the grapes from the direct sun. So if you walk in a vineyard now, it's very green, it's very vigorous, the plant is very vigorous, and the leaf management is very important. So more leaves are left on the plant to shelter the grapes from direct sun, to protect the grapes from hailstorms, even though it's difficult to protect the grapes from hailstorm, especially when you get a little bit closer to the harvest, when the grapes are bigger. And the third function of the leaves is to give energy to the plant through the photosynthesis. Of course, they act like solar panels, absorbing the energy from the sun, releasing back to the winery through photosynthesis. Okay, so now I'm going to call Ugo now online. Ugo.
Ciao.
Ciao. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Okay.
Thank you
I did
guys
a
for
little
being
bit of.
here. I mean, I'm so excited.
We are excited to have you, and I'm very I am very sorry for the incident at the very beginning.
Don't worry. Actually, I introduced already myself to the people in the other side of the ocean, and thank you guys for being connected. For me, it's such a pleasure to introduce to you this project that we love so much. We put all our life in it, and to be honest, I don't know if you remember, Francesco, the first time, actually, when we signed at the notary, our notary was from Montepulciano. So right after the sign, I jumped in Francesco's restaurant, say, "Hey, Francesco, I just bought a vineyard. I became a farmer," and he was like, "What?" I mean, I'm so happy for you, but I mean, if I
My
remember
reaction
myself.
was, what the fuck did you do? This was my reaction, was like, I bought a vineyard, and I'm like, what? It's amazing, and yeah, this I could feel from the very beginning, because we've been knowing each other for almost 10 years now, mostly through a great friend that we have in common, which is Guido from Mastroianni, who was here 3 weeks ago, did the online tasting with me 3 weeks ago. And I've always known you for your energy, and you're larger than life. So we had talked that you guys wanted to buy a winery, and then you had this beautiful chance, and I was so happy that I was probably the first person to know in the
Yeah.
world, and this
Because
is the
at
project that.
that time I used to work for a winery in Montalcino, and so I couldn't say anything to anyone because it was such a thing that, I mean, also wasn't sure and was so crazy to do, and so at the end we didn't say anything to anyone. But right after the sign, I was super happy to say this secret to everyone. But I was in
Yeah.
Montepulciano, and the first person I thought was Francesco. I said, I don't know if he's at the restaurant, but I just drove up to the city, to the square of Montepulciano. I jumped in the restaurant, like, hey, let's toast, because I just bought a
It was
vineyard.
so
And
exciting. It was so exciting, and I could feel the energy from the very beginning. And then I came to the winery, and I saw all that beauty, all that potential, because I think today we'll be talking about this new area that you are reinventing pretty much, because it's so, like you said before, you used to work in Montalcino, and Sebastian, the other co-owner, still works in Montalcino at Podere Le Ripi, is the winemaker of Podere Le Ripi. So you have Montalcino's background, when you talk about Brunello, when you talk about Vino Nobile, Chianti Classico, you have an incredible tradition for these wines. You have a history. But what you're doing there, you're reinventing a terroir, an area that has not such a big tradition. And this can make that you guys can experiment, and you can try to do new things, and you can bring your beautiful energy to a new project, creating something from new, from a white piece of paper. You're going to write history from there. And this is what's beautiful about what you're doing now.
yeah, it's true that it's a new area, but our idea of wine is like trying to make the wine as Sangiovese used to be like 50 years ago. Because here in
Yes.
Montalcino, the climate 50 years ago was cooler, different. Also, the wine, the Sangiovese, was treated in a authentic and traditional way that was less concentrated, more focus on acidity and, I mean, less oaky. And through the years, I mean, the taste of the public, the taste of the market changed, and also the style of winemaking. We really want to go back to the real roots, the traditional one, and we really believe that the mountain there has the potential to also, because we are so close, but in a higher terroir. Also, Amiata used to be a volcano, so the soil is super mineral, super rich in iron, and that is what makes the wine super tasty with a long finish. We don't want to manage the wine to make it big and bold. We just want to focus our energy on the elegance. So we try to maintain the freshness, the fruitness, the floweriness on the bouquet, and we try to have this kind of taste that easy to drink. I always say, when the bottle is finished, the wine was excellent. I mean, we want to have the wine that you can
This is
drink.
a big problem I have with your wines.
That you can
The bottle,
finish the
the
bottle.
bottle finishes itself in 20 minutes. That's the problem.
And that is our goal. I mean, when the bottle, you kill a bottle in two friends in half an hour. Okay, that's I mean, that's the purpose. I mean,
It's
the wine
also
was
because I
good.
think it's also because you have less sophistication, like you were saying, less, you don't have layers of oak, very low amount of sulfites, very, very, very low amount of sulfite. So, it's a wine that has got a lot of vibrance, a lot of energy. We'll be tasting the wines later, it's a wine with a beautiful energy. It's a wine with a beautiful energy. When I drink a glass of your wine, I have a good feeling in my body. Like, like it's like electricity runs through my veins, which is something that not many wines have these characteristics nowadays.
I mean, I agree with you, and I'm happy to hear that, because we first of all, this project is made because we have a huge passion for wine. We are wine lovers, wine drinkers. I mean, probably the first, we make the wine for ourselves. We make a wine that we love, and we wanted to have something very authentic and also healthy. I mean, I know that wine is not the healthiest thing in the world, but at least we don't add any chemicals. We work in a biodynamic in the vineyard, and so we don't spray fertilizer, we don't spray anything that can remain in the soil and be sucked by the plants, then at the end goes in the glass. And then in the cellar,
Yeah.
we don't add any yeast, we don't add sulfites, we don't concentrate, we don't add colors, we don't add chips to make the wine be more oaky, because we want to have the expression of the terroir, and we don't like the flat wines that taste all the time the same, because that is like a Coca-Cola. It's always the same, every year the same, and it doesn't matter where it's made. We want to represent that specific land that is so special, because I mean that place, it's unbelievable. And working on that, I realize it day by day how special it is. And for example, you have two vintages, 22 and 23, that are opposite. One is super hot and one was very cold and wet, and the wines are so different. But thank God there are differences
Yes.
in different vintages, because we want to represent. I mean, if something is natural, if you had a super hot summer and super cold and wet summer, how can you make the same wine? So having the same taste for us doesn't make any sense. So we
Yes.
really want to
Yes.
represent that. And
This is great, because one of the crusades that I'm doing more and more, what I'm advocating is to have wines that are real wines, that taste like real wine. Because I think for many years, many of the popular wineries, they have sophisticated wines in the cellar in a way that, like you were saying before, every vintage will be pretty much very similar. you wouldn't be able to understand the difference among the different vintages. So we don't want that, because the grapes that were harvested in that particular year, they suffer from the conditions of the weather of that particular summer, and it's not right for us that the wines that taste the same every year. And many of the big wineries, they have to standardize the production in order to give consistency to their production. And I understand that, we'll be tasting, there's the wine that is symbol of all these is your Cabernet Sauvignon. We taste Cabernet Sauvignons from Tuscany that are made in a similar way to Napa, big, bold, oaky, always the same flavor to try to recreate that formula. But the Cabernet Sauvignon that you have, that we'll be tasting later, it's unique. You don't taste many wines like your Cabernet Sauvignon, it's fresh, it's vibrant, doesn't have the oaky flavor, the tertiary flavors from the oak, and it's very unique. So yeah, great project.
So thank God the public and the market is changing from the past. And to be honest, we have been so lucky to add this idea and this project in these days, because right now we have a public that is chasing and looking for this kind of wines. And the proof is that in 3 years already, we opened 20 markets abroad. In Italy, we spread the wine all over the country. And I'm receiving also, just last week, Eric Guido, the wine critic, just wrote an email to us asking for samples, because he wants to talk about Amiata and talks about us. And I mean, we are so proud, but we know that there is also a lucky thing, that is because 20 years ago, maybe this kind of wine would not be drunk by anyone. But right now,
would have been difficult.
I mean,
Yes,
the public is growing in knowledge about wine, and they want to have this kind of unique style and authentic. And so, but we were so sure about it, because again, we are wine drinkers, and we were tired of having the same, always the same wines from all over Tuscany. Sangiovese was like the same, and we were tired, just not having no more emotions about it. And we just had the idea to do a step back from the real roots of Tuscany, having that kind of wines that can really stay in a bottle for 30 years due to the acidity and the tannins. These wines can age in a bottle, but not just because you add so much sulfites that the wine just stays there super tight, and because you put the chemical on it.
It's just the natural structure of the wine.
Exactly. That makes all the difference of the world, because also these are wines that, as you said, when you drink it, you have a connection with it. I mean, your body has a reaction, and you can feel it. You have a sort of sharing with it, and that's important.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, I'm going to show the video that you sent me of the harvest, so we can go together.
It's a video of the last harvest, and actually you're going to see people stepping on the grapes. And
yeah, this is fantastic.
I'll explain it later.
Yeah.
Can I talk over it?
Yeah, sure.
So as you can see, we pick by hand, and the team is super young. We carry all the baskets manually, and you can see how cold it is in the morning. I mean, this day was 8 degrees in the morning, and so grapes are perfect, because in the mountain, I mean, the temperature range between night and day is quite huge. We use these French baskets that are not so high, because we don't want to squeeze the grapes on the bottom of the baskets, because we work cluster. So we don't destem the grapes. We just throw inside the tanks the whole clusters to do the semi-carbonic maceration, because we really want to represent this terroir, this land, with the freshness and the fruitness, the crispy fruits. And this kind of technique is the best, because the 2 weeks on the tank, they all the flavors from the skins are, with the pressure of the CO2, goes inside of the berries, and so we don't do long maceration in order to extract so much. We just get all the flavors, the crispy flavors, and then we step inside,
To keep the
literally as
elegance.
our grandfather used to do. We step inside the
Yeah.
tanks with feet, and then we press with an old torchio. Is a vertical press with a very soft press. And that's it.
I interrupt you just 1 second, because in the video there's Isabella that tastes the grape. No, boy, hold on a second. Oh,
Yeah, Isabella is
messed
our
up.
winemaker.
Yeah, I messed up. I keep messing up today. I'm a disaster. Yeah. Well, you can keep talking. We'll rewatch the video again.
Yeah,
I'm
anyway,
sorry, but I
Isabella, the
have
blonde
fever. I have
girl with
headache. I don't know what's going on today.
the blonde girl that you're gonna see, she's with us since the beginning, and
Yeah.
she's great. She's our winemaker, and actually you can feel the feminine, like style in the elegance, but then also the personality of a strong woman, because the wine has a very long finish, has a strong personality
Yeah.
in terms of
I was saying,
tannin.
I wanted to show that everybody's tasting the grapes as well, because today we have instruments that measure the acidity, the sugar in the grape, the polyphenols, but then the taste of the grape is the most important thing. And most wineries, they have lost it, nowadays, tasting the grapes with your own mouth.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, Sebastian, that is my business partner, and he's more expert than me. He's a winemaker, and he doesn't want to do any analysis. Like, it's all about taste the grapes and walk in the vineyard for hours. Like, we walked all the vineyards all the time, every day, tasting grapes, because we decide when it's time to pick by eating grapes. And you need to try the grapes from the top of the vineyard to the bottom, because the ripening is different in the elevation in the part of the vineyard. And so it's important to know everything and to taste it, to walk there. And it's actually, analysis would be easier, but at the end, if you follow analysis, you make the wine like the book says.
Yeah.
You need more acidity, you need more tannins, you need more. But what do you
No
like? You like
personality.
this taste? You don't like this taste? I mean, we need to go back to the roots and try to trust more our senses, because at the end, we drink the wine and we need to love it. It's not just, okay, I don't like the wine, but the analyses are perfect. I don't want
You
that.
see,
I mean,
everything is incredibly manual, and from the video you can tell, and you do things very old school.
yeah, that is the old torchio, to press the
The
grapes.
press,
Yeah,
nice.
the press. I mean, it's everything made literally in the old-fashioned style, and actually, how can I say? It's so simple. It looks so easy, but at the end, it's super important to take care of every single detail, like checking all the grapes as we do manually. And you see, we carry all the baskets on top of the tanks manually, so
Wow, yeah.
it's like crazy. And
And you
then we press with
stomp on the
feet.
grapes.
Yeah, and we throw inside like this. So it looks easy. But it's not. I promise. When I decided, I
I'm
mean, when I signed that day at the notary, I couldn't imagine, because it's crazy. But
beautiful
trust
video.
me, the first time I tasted the wine after fermentation, the first year, the first vintage, I was crying, because how
Yeah, I
good
mean,
was the wine, uh, thinking about all the efforts we did for making it, and then you taste it and it tastes so good. I was like crying with Sebastian, say what we did, man, what we did.
Yeah, this is very incredible, you know, and I've followed everything you did since the very beginning, since day one, you know, since day zero. Actually, I followed everything from the winery, and everything has been magical, you know. And you have a beautiful team. We saw also international team, you know. You have people that have studied that have worked in France, you know, people from overseas, and this says a lot about the energy of the team, that it's reflected then on the quality and the energy of the wines as well, you know. So
It's
it's
unbelievable
fantastic.
because it's I mean, these guys are all calling us saying, can I come to do the harvest with you? Can I come? Like 2 weeks ago, I received a call from a girl that is studying winemaking in Germany. She tasted the wine in Germany. She felt the love for the wine, and she just called us saying, can I come to do the harvest with you? It's amazing how this project is creating connections naturally with people, and yeah, that's
I'm very
unbelievable.
jealous because I cannot find staff for the restaurant. So we have the opposite problem. Like nobody wants to work in the restaurant industry anymore because everybody wants to work at Bakkanali nowadays. Everybody wants to make wine in the Amiata volcano. So that's a big
No, that's
problem that I'm
I
having.
don't know. I don't know what to say. It's I would never expect something like that, and mainly women. I mean, my wife is also jealous and is not the best for me. But I mean, there are many women doing the winemaking school, and they want to come to
Yeah,
Baccanali.
it's you know, and I think you have Isabella, which is with you since the beginning. You know, there's a lot of women winemakers. You know, um there's more and more women now getting into the wine industry. With the wine club, you know, I remember one of the shipments that I selected at the very beginning of the wine club was women of wine, only female winemakers, you know, because now it's becoming a trend, you know. And of course, especially the fact that your winery is you know, biodynamic, eco-conscious. It's a different project. I think, you know, there's a lot of young people that are going to be very fascinated by this beautiful project. And by paradox, you are a new winery, so you started from nothing. Instead of doing things in the most technological way, you work like farmers, like you see in the video. You know, you work old school. You stomp on the grapes with your feet. You know, you use the same principle that our grandparents were using in terms of farming and winemaking. So this is another interesting trend from younger winemakers and younger wineries. They broke with the previous generation. There was, you know, the previous generation was the generation that was using the toasted oak to make the wine more round, to make it more polished. They would add selected yeast for the fermentation. You know, they would just somehow adjust the wines in the cellar. But the generation of the millennial generation, Z generation, I lost count with generations, anyways. But the millennial generation is probably closer to their grandparents rather to their parents. You know.
It's a trend about everything. I would say also in about food, people prefer to have
Mhm.
seasonal things and prefer to have because this, I mean, everything was standardized, and the market was asking for oaky wines, but the oak, it just cover the authenticity of the terroir of the.
Of the
I mean,
fruits
we have
of, you know,
such a
of the wine.
specific terroir there that if we put the oaky flavors on it, we're gonna cover it. But it's our most precious thing we have because it's not replaceable. I mean, you cannot make this kind of wine nowhere in the earth, and so we need
Yeah,
to preserve this heritage and this precious thing. And so
it's
we
great.
decided
It's
to.
it's 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 great to see such a passion. You know, Ugo is you're obviously a very passionate guy, as well as I am. This is why we're really good friends. You know, and the fact that you
Allora,
don't
without
use oak.
passion, you can't make wine without passion. I mean, if you do with machines, it's okay, but to carry 100 and 500 baskets in a day full of grapes manually. If you don't have passion, you don't do it.
I remember the day when you signed the contract, you came to me, you were too excited. And I'm like, I understand the excitement, but this is going to be a hard job for you. You're going to work your ass off, waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning, in the tractor in the summer, in the winter when it's cold, but I've never, this is magic. Making wine is magic. Making wine is something that is the fruit of your hard work, and like you said, the beautiful image that you said before, that the first time you tried the wine, you were crying, tears of happiness, because this is magic, and the passion that all of your team puts into the wine, you can tell that this project is different. It's not just chit chat. It's not just talkings, it's not just talks. You have a lot of action going on, because you can taste from the wine. So I think, if everybody agrees, we can start tasting the wines. We'll start with the rosé. I will do a little bit of introduction I'll share the screen with the technical details of the wines. The first wine is the Rosa. I have this light on me. I look all pale. I look like an angel. I look like I'm dead. I'm surrounded by this white light. Okay. Too much. Okay. 2023. I'll pour it, and then I will show you the technical details of the wine.
Guys, don't be shocked by the color. It's a Tuscan rosé. It's not a Provence style.
Yes.
So it's a little bit darker.
This is not your typical rosé, guys. Okay, I will share the screen just 1 second. There you are. Bakkanali Rosa IGT Toscana 2023, the difficult vintage that you were talking about before, we had a lot of rain. We had a pretty cool vintage. We had a lot of rain during the spring as well that developed a lot of molds in the soil. So grape is obviously 100% Sangiovese. Very interesting, the detail about the sulfites. We'll talk about the sulfites later, probably. So less than 25 milligrams per liter, which is very low. Is very low, guys. The vineyard is 2 hectares, so 4 acres. Location is Poggioferro, the vineyard that is 600 meters above the sea level. The soil is marl with carbonate and limestone rocks, so very rocky soil. Age of the vines, 18 years. And then who planted the vineyard, Ugo? I forgot to ask you, were the previous owners?
And local people. Actually, to put together the 10 hectares that we have in total of vineyards, we had to buy land from 5 people, different people, because
Wow.
Monte Amiata, it's it's a place where 3,000 years ago people were making wine. We had like a palmento. We have a few palmenti in the area where we are that are like the stones that 3,000 years ago, the Etrusci, before the Romans,
Etruscans, wow.
Used to use it for winemaking. So these stones worked in tanks with different sizes to ferment the wine and filter it naturally with gravity. And so that's the proof that the mountain is always been suitable for winemaking. But through the years, this place has never been developed because you can't put together like 50 hectares together, because it's a mountain. It's super steep and super rocky, and it's wild. So you have a forest, you have a piece of land, and then you have a river, then you have another woods, then you have a steep. And so it's impossible for big producer to invest there, to make, to industrialize, to mechanize everything and build 100 hectares altogether. And that's
very hard work for you guys as well. It's a very hard job.
Yeah, it's hard work, but it's what's kept the place so natural and so authentic and so wild. That is our most, like peronospora, like the disease that you have. There are funguses that are like COVID, they spread all, I mean, they make a fire and then they spread through the vineyards all over. If you have all the vineyards attach each other, we have forests that are like natural walls that protect the vineyard naturally. So we don't have this kind
so you're one of the very few ones that was not affected in 2023 by, like you said before, peronospora, by fungus, by
we
the
had a
insects,
production
2020.
like 30% more than 22,
That's
where in
crazy.
Montalcino producer lost 50-60%.
Crazy numbers, because 2023 was very difficult all over Italy. I went to Sicily. They had problem with the fungus in Sicily. You know, Sicily is very dry, so they were not used to be dealing with fungus and molds, you know, that you have in rainy areas. So it was very unique. Okay, let's continue the description about this rosé. So organic farming, biodynamic conversion. So for winemaking, it's very important, like you said before, that you use the indigenous yeast, the natural yeast that is present in the grape, not added yeast. So yeah, exactly. Well, and then, like you were saying before, you do the fermentation, you do a destemming and a very soft press, mostly with your feet. Aging is only stainless steel.
Is the wine that we don't do the semi-carbonic maceration with this stem. So we use only the berries and then we leave it for 1 day, skin contact, and then we press. So the color is due by 1 day maceration.
1 day, 1 day on the skins. Okay. And price is
the beauty of this wine, if I can add something about the food match, it's very gastronomic. We wanted to have a wine that could be matched with so much kind of food, like you know, pizza tartare. There are restaurants that make fish, like tuna tartare or like pasta. I mean, it's super gastronomic. It's a 12 in alcohol, so super drinkable, easy, but has this kind of personality that has a taste. And so it's the wine that can be matched with so much kind of food.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay. I'll start with the description. Yeah. So like Ugo was saying before, the color is due to the 1 day of the wine being in touch with the skins of the grapes. Because, long story short, if not everybody's familiar with how you make rosé by taking a red grape, red grapes, you press them. If you take the skins out of the fermentation tank, as soon as you press them, you have no color, so the wine is going to be a white wine. If you leave the skin in maceration, in contact with the wine for a short time, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, you have a rosé color, the usual rosé color. This color right here is due to the fact that, you know, the wine was in contact for 1 day in maceration with the skins. Okay, so yeah, the color is, it's a beautiful, like a light ruby red. It reminds me of rosés from Abruzzo, for instance, from Montepulciano, the Abruzzo wine called Cerasuolo color, we call it. So it's a pale ruby with purple reflections as well. Let's see what the nose offers. Very, very intense. There's a bouquet of, it's very floral. It's a bouquet of fresh flowers, such as, you know, violet, like a wild rose, you know, a wild flower, and lavender as well, which is typical from many Bakkanali wines. There's notes of fresh fruits, such as, you know, a very fresh raspberry as well, and red currants. And and a common thread of all the wines from Bakkanali is this kind of rockiness that you have in the soil, that is transposed in the wine, you know, this kind of whetstone smell that you have in the wine. That personally, I love minerality in wines, and this whetstone flavor, I love it, because I love the mineral aspects of wine. I love when wine is made in the rocky soils. You know, I like it very much. So, yeah. So this is not your typical rosé. Also in terms of flavor, you know, also in terms of smell, it's very distinctive, very precise as well. Okay, let's see what the palate offers. Mm. Okay, I have to use the spittoon. Otherwise, I wasn't able to do the tasting. I wasn't able to do the live when I was sober, so I don't want to end up drunk tonight. So the palate, it's lively, it's fresh, it's incredible, it's full of energy. The common thread of all of your wines is this energy, always very energetic. I think this wine, I could drink it instead of Gatorade when I run the marathon, because it's a wine that gives me a lot of energy, you know, because it makes your mouth, makes your palate salivate, because it's very fresh. And this is typical of all of your wine, you know. This is basically a red wine without tannin, if I had to describe. You know, it's a very light, it's the lightest possible version you can have of a beautiful Sangiovese. And this freshness, you know, and it's a wine that dances in my palate like a ballerina, you know. It's a full of joy. It's a beautiful expression of the most joyful expression of Sangiovese, because we are used to drink Sangiovese as Brunello or Vino Nobile, you know, with the power, with the body, with the complexity. This wine is very easy drinking. It's got a lot of elegance, a lot of grace, you know, and a mouth-watering finish of these beautiful red currants and these floral notes, you know, of wild rose. Beautiful, beautiful wine. Very gastronomic, like you said. What would you recommend to eat with this?
Tartare. Yeah, tartare or
Tartare.
pizza, or
Nice.
pasta without sauce, like a tomato sauce, but
Nice.
with mushroom, for example, egg with truffle. Uh, so many kind of dishes.
It's a beautiful aperitif wine as well.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
could drink a
I
bottle
have
of
some
this wine.
clients that told me that people that order the Bakkanali Rosa, they finished the bottle before the food came, and so they had to order the second bottle, and it happened few times because I have different clients that keep saying the same story.
It's great.
Because
The best
it's
feedback for a
12,
wine.
as I said, it's 12 in alcohol. This wine has 8.4 in total acidity,
Wow.
like 3.1 in pH. So it's
Wow. pH is
has this
very
kind
low.
of freshness that comes. It makes the wine so easy and pleasant to drink that you finish the bottle like in a second.
Nice. Nice. So yeah, this is no, this is I'm so happy about doing this, first of all, you know, because I I I love these wines. I just love these wines. I love the project. I love the idea. I love the people. I love the area, you know, and if you go there, what I recommend to the people that are watching us to come visit you, because you have to see with your own eyes what's going on there, you know, the rustic charm of the Amiata volcano. You know, it's a beautiful place, beautiful landscape, and it's a very special place. So, you know, I'm very glad that you decided to, you have a very clear idea of the wine that you're gonna make since the very beginning. You and Sebastian, you were very driven, and you said, okay, we're gonna make wine this way. And you figured out how to make the wine since the very beginning in a new area, which was risky. You could have said, okay, it's risky. Let's start with, you know, select the yeast for the fermentation, aging the wine in oak, etc., to make the wine a little bit different, a little bit more similar to the standards, you know, to the standard wines you find in the market. But you decided to go in a different direction. And even with the color of the rosé, you had to go in a different direction, you know. Everything is different. And it's the charm of it, is what I love about it, you know.
Because again, we follow what we like, and we didn't want to make a wine just because it's a fancy to make a light red color rosé, because the market, also the people usually want to see the color of rosé. Rosé usually has the transparent bottle, the transparent glass, because
Yeah.
the consumer, it prefers to see the color is catched by the color. We don't care, the color is just, I mean, it's not the purpose. I mean, we want to make wine, a good wine. If it's more red, less red, more dark rosé, light rosé, it has to be a good wine. And for
Yeah.
example, in 2024, the color is lighter, but because the vintage is different, in 23 it came like that. I mean, we don't have and we don't want to manage the color. We don't care. I
Yeah.
mean, we love to have different colors each year, because each year is different. But
Yeah.
23 is, I mean, I also prefer the 23 compared to the 22.
Mhm. Very nice, very elegant. And this touch again of now this note of almost like mint, sage, and
Yeah.
fantastic, fantastic. Very nice wine. Very nice wine. And this could be a beautiful wine for the summer to keep it a little bit cooler. When it's too hot to drink a red wine, probably you chill this and it's going to be a fantastic drink, even for aperitif. Like I said before, I think it's perfect, Very jazz, this one. Very nice. Let's go with the cab. This wine is the most shocking wine of all the line. Deborah says barbecue wine. Yeah,
Yeah,
every
for
wine is a
sure.
barbecue wine. Yeah, this one, I think the problem, if I had this bottle of wine while grilling the barbecue, I'll be finishing the wine before the steak is ready. Second wine, Bakkanali Cab. Also the labels. Can you tell us more about the labels, Ugo?
Allora, Bakkanali it used to be the party of the Romans, in honor of the god of wine, Bacchus. And they used to celebrate in a very wild way, like having food, wine, and sex all together, like an orgy. And so,
The Romans were so
as
smart.
Francesco said, we met 10 years ago. I
In an
mean,
orgy, no.
we all have almost the same age. The same, yeah. And during these tastings and dinners, at some point, you get drunk, and but in the middle of the winter, I mean, late night, you drunk and you want to party, but there is nothing to do here. And so in our dream, we made this kind of Bakkanali. We were
Yeah.
much more calm than the Romans. But then with Sebastian, when we had to think about a name, we said, let's celebrate the way that we met and the parties we did. And so Bakkanali is the name. We just changed the C with the K's to make it more like a modern, more young style. And yeah, that's how happened Bakkanali. And I used to be a
Yeah.
graphic designer before I jumped in the wine
Yeah,
industry
it's true.
10 years ago. And so I had I studied art, and I said, in the history, so many painters dedicated painting to this kind of parties. And so I tried to match these paintings with the different wines. That's
Nice.
I didn't do much, actually. I just select paintings, but didn't draw
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. But no, you did a lot of work in the next wine.
Yeah.
With my dogs on the label. You did the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna share the technical information about this wine too, as well as I did for the other one. Okay, Canali Cab 2023. So the grape is Cabernet Sauvignon. Again, the amount of sulfites is less than 25 milligrams per liter total, which is very low. Vineyard, 1 hectare, so 2 acres. Is made in the vineyard of Poggioferro. ironish brown
Just
soil
to
with
add,
limestone.
sorry, Francesco, to
Yeah.
interrupt you. Just to add, we wrote on the technical sheet less than 25 for each wines, but for example, in the rosé that you had before is less than 15 milligrams.
Wow,
So
almost no sulfites
almost
added.
nothing.
Almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We just put it 25 to be safe that all the wines are included to don't change. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
technical sheet every year,
Sure.
but we are always lower than 20. And for example, in this is like 18, just to be
Oh,
precise.
wow. Thank you for specifying. I've tasted wines to give you an idea. I think the limit in California is 350 milligrams, the limit for California wines. So yeah, you taste a Cabernet from, a Cabernet, this Cabernet is different from Cabernet from Napa from many aspects. There's no oak, no residual sugar, barely no sulfite. So it's very different. So if people are used to that type of Cabernet Sauvignon, this is going to be a little bit different.
Deborah is asking, how are you able to make with such low sulfites? That's
Oh yeah,
because
good question.
the
Thank
pH,
you, Deborah.
the pH is so low. All our wines are around 3.1, 3.2. That is very low. And so the acidity, it's very high. When you have a low pH, the acidity is very high. And the pH is like the immunity system of the wine. It's like it protects the wine naturally, and so it helped us to don't use sulfites. But we went to the altitude, we went to the mountain for this purpose, because to be a natural wine producer, you need to have the right terroir. Because if you want to make natural wines where you have so much problems, diseases, funguses, then I promise you need to use the chemicals, because your wine is going to smell bad. It's going to have so many trouble, so many problems. We don't want to make, natural wine that is bad. I mean, yeah, I don't like this wine. Again, I don't like this wine. It smells bad, but it's natural. That's not the principle. We want to, to be natural, to don't add any chemicals. You need to add the best fruits, the best raw material to make the
And it's
wine.
the most
That
important. And
helps you.
at the end of the day, is the only thing that matters.
It's like in
To
the
have good
cooking.
good
If you have the
grapes.
best fish, you just cut the tuna. You made the tartare. You don't have to add any foam, any
Less is more.
cream, nothing. Less is more, but you need to have the best fresh fish. Otherwise, you need to cover it with so much stuff, because if it's old, it smell bad. That's why you need to add the
Mhm.
cream, you need to add the sauce, you need to add the soya and everything, because you need to cover the natural
Yep.
smell and the natural taste, because it tastes bad. So that's the principle.
It seems easy to do, but there's a lot of hard work in order for that to happen, for sure. Okay, so let's continue with the technical description. So altitude 550 meters. So 1,650 feet above the sea level. I'm nailing conversions with the feet. Don't ask me Fahrenheit because I'm terrible, but I'm nailing the conversions today. So yeah, again, organic farming, biodynamic conversion, age of the vines 18 years. Fermentation, this is different. So you use indigenous yeast, but unlike the rosé, here you do whole bunch fermentation with carbonic maceration. Aging in stainless steel, production only 4,000 bottles, price is 35 euros. So carbonic maceration. Can you explain what brings to the wine and why you decided to do all your red wines with carbonic maceration?
So it's, as you saw, it's so hard work to make carbonic maceration. You need to carry all the baskets on top of the tanks and throw the wall benches inside the tank, and yeah, at the end of the day, you're wasted. But it helps the wine to be so crispy, so fresh. The fruits are so so crispy. I mean, we were so
Yeah.
tired to have the marmalade, the over mature fruits, the sweetness. We really wanted to have wines more focused on acidity and drinkability. So this is again is a wine from a cold vintage. It's 12.5 in alcohol, and it's super fresh. It's a different Cabernet, but I mean, we didn't want to make the standard Cabernet that everybody makes and that we don't like. And of course we took all the risk because the first vintage we made all with the carbonic maceration, but we were sure that we had clear in our head the goal that we wanted to reach, like the drinkability, the freshness, and this is the technique that helps this kind of style. And so we did it, but like crazy in a new area, in an unknown area, with a new technique, with a new style, with different kind of labels. So I mean, if I think of
It,
myself
it,
3 years
it
ago,
was a
I
little
was
bit
like,
crazy. It was very risky, but
yeah.
everything worked out really well. So you have to be glad about that. I remember the Cabernet I've tasted. I remember when I tasted it 2022 from the stainless steel tank. Of course, it was not ready, but I remember how excited you were for me to try the Cabernet 2022. And I put it in the glass and I'm like, wow, I've never tasted a Cabernet Sauvignon like this. And it was perfect already. It was amazing already, after just
And
a few months.
the story is that when we thought about the project, Cabernet, it wasn't in our dreams. But when we purchased this land, the Cabernet was already planted, and so we found together with the seller this hectare of Cabernet Sauvignon. And at the beginning, we were like, we should remove it. We should replant the Sangiovese here. But at the end, we said, let's try to see how it comes. I mean, let's give a chance to this Cabernet. And
I'm
we
I'm
treated
I'm
it the
I'm very I'm very
Sangiovese.
glad. I'm very glad that you didn't
And
you
when we
didn't
tried it,
plant
we were like,
Sangiovese instead.
this is different. I mean, is the style of Cabernet that we like. And you know what? Is the wine that we finished the first, because we only have 1 hectare. We only make 4,000 bottles, and it's the wine that finished first.
But
And
it's incredible that in the market you find Cabernet Sauvignon from Tuscany. The first thing that comes to your mind is super Tuscan. So Tignanello, Sassicaia, this big and bold wines that are, you know, resemble to Napa Cabernet Sauvignon. In terms of, being big, oaky, etc., etc. So I wonder what the consumer and what everybody that is online with us, feel free to share a feedback. I wonder what they think when they taste the Cabernet Sauvignon from Tuscany. It doesn't taste like any other Cabernet Sauvignon that has ever been made in the history of winemaking in Tuscany, at least. And I've tasted quite a few wines in my life. We've tasted many wines, but this is very different because I don't recognize, I recognize the Cabernet Sauvignon here in terms of smell, in terms of how it looks as well, the color as well. But there's no tertiary flavors from the oak. There's no sophistication, there's no aroma of coffee, vanilla from the oak, etc., etc. This is the pure smell and taste of Cabernet Sauvignon with this nice side of, typical of Cabernet Sauvignon is this roasted pepper, almost this kind of red pepper, roasted red pepper smell, which is typical of Cabernet Sauvignon. But then I don't have the chocolate. I don't have all the other layers that I usually smell in Cabernet Sauvignon. So it's very interesting. So I will start with the description unless there's questions. No, not yet. You guys feel free to ask any questions. Yeah. Okay. So the color is an intense purple color, typical of Cabernet Sauvignon. Yeah, and like I said before, the wine opens with this note of roasted red pepper, typical of the varietal. And then you have some notes of kind of blood orange, you know, like a red fleshed orange, black currants, a note of black tea as well. This kind of spiciness that is kind of black tea is a very elegant spiciness. Yeah. And this note typical of all of your wines that you make with carbonic maceration, which is this note of like blueberry jam, like strawberry candy, like, you know, jelly, a jelly from strawberry or blackberry or raspberry candy. Yeah, it's very typical of all your wines that you make with the semi-carbonic fermentation. So yeah, again, what hits me about the uniqueness of this wine is that there's no oakiness to it, so there's no tertiary flavors such as coffee, vanilla, or other spices, which is very, very unique. Let's see what the palate offers. Wow. Again, very fresh, very energetic, very vibrant, and very elegant as well. You taste a young Cabernet Sauvignon, you might expect the tannins to be very firm and sharp. This is why most Cabernet Sauvignon is aged in oak, because the oak kind of makes those tannins a little bit softer to your palate. But this one doesn't have a firm and grippy tannin. It's extremely gentle, you know, making this wine unique in its genre. And the finish as well is very elegant. There's a beautiful lingering finish, very fulfilling in the palate with an explosion of black currants, and also this side of almost black tea at the end. Very fresh, very elegant, lasting very long in the palate. Beautiful flavor, you know, beautiful flavor, amazing. We have feedback from Deborah. Fabulous surprise. Stop drinking California cabs. This gives us a cab with the Sangiovese texture. Bellissimo. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Doc.
Grazie.
Appreciate it. It's a good compliment, Ugo, right?
See, thank you so much.
It's you know, it's different. It's that you can tell that there's passion, like you said, but sometimes passion is not enough. There has to be vision, you know, and you guys had a vision since the very beginning, and I think you're headed in a beautiful direction. And buy this wine to everybody that is online with us. Buy these wines now, because these guys are going to become rich, and the wines will be too expensive to buy in a few years. So hurry up. Very good. Very good. Okay. We can go, what's next? Rosso 22. All righty. And this is the main wine that you produce, you know, your business card, Bakkanali Rosso.
Yeah.
With this other orgiastic painting in the label.
Yeah, that's the
When you
most
were talking
wild
before,
label.
it sounded that when we were making these big wine dinners in Montalcino, we were also making orgies, which is nothing that we did. Also
In our
because we were too
dreams.
drunk, and we were mainly men also. So you know,
Exactly.
my wife watches this. Mary, everything okay? No orgies were made in those vineyards, in those evenings. Okay, 2022. It's curious that now, you know, you started in 2022 with two vintages that are the two most difficult vintages of the last, I don't know, 20 years probably, for two opposite reasons. Yeah. 2022, dry, hot. It was crazy. The plants were suffering a crazy amount of stress. 2023, the opposite. molds, rain, cold, difficult to reach the right ripening of the grapes, etc., etc. So you were tested by Mother Nature for the first 2 years.
To be honest, as I told you, the 23 we haven't been affected by the peronospora as in the lower parts. And in 22, super hot, but being in the altitude in a mountain, we didn't have that kind of dryness. We had a couple of rain because the Amiata is like is the highest mountain in the south part of Tuscany, and it's like a magnet for the clouds. So if you have the clear sky in the whole valley, if you see one cloud is in the mountain. That 50 years ago they used to say, yeah, we are protected by Monte Amiata. All the clouds are stuck there, and we get the sun to ripe the grapes. Right now, in these days, we have the opposite. They have the stress of the hot season. So no rain for 6 months. I mean, there were plants to survive sucking the water from the grapes, literally to survive in the lower parts. We didn't have this kind of stress because also we had was a sort of hail, was a soft hail. Thank God didn't damage so much, but thank God we had it because the plants had that kind of water that they needed. And so actually for us 22, the first vintage, it's incredible because it's rich but super intense and super. We had a great tension in acidity that makes the wine again very very drinkable and yeah, very also
The
classic.
texture of this wine is amazing. This is what's the production of this wine?
It depends the vintage. In 22 we made 18,000 bottles almost. 20.
Well, actually, I have it on the screen. I'm gonna share the screen so you have the technical sheet about the wine. Okay, Bakkanali Rosso IGT Toscana 2022, Sangiovese. What's the amount of sulfites on this one, Ugo?
In this one, if I remember well, it's less than 20. I don't remember if it's 18,
it's ridiculous.
16.
It's ridiculously low.
Yeah.
But with this acidity, with the pH you have in the wine, this wine can go really well for other 30, 40, 50 years
we
without
don't use any
sulfites.
sulfites at the harvest. We during the fermentation we never use any sulfites. Even when we move the wine from tank to tank to filter the wine, because we don't filter at the bottling, we just add a little touch before the bottling, but it depends each wine if we have sort of reduction or not, but that is a little a touch of it.
It's harmless. It's harmless. It doesn't harm you, at all. So the vineyard is 3.5 hectares, so 7 acres. The vineyard of Poggioferro, the one next to the cellar. The soil is marl with carbonate and limestone rocks, so very rocky soil. Altitude 600 meters above the sea level, 1,800 feet. Age of the vines, again, 18 years. Organic farming, biodynamic. Indigenous yeast. Fermentation, as well as the Cabernet, is whole bunch fermentation, so with the whole bunch and carbonic maceration. Aging is in concrete instead of stainless steel. Production 18,000 bottles, and the price is again 35 euros. Okay. See, beautiful ruby red color. It's a very bright color. Bright color translated into wine. When a wine has got a bright color that reflects the light, it means that particular wine is going to have a lot of acidity. It's going to be very live and vibrant, and full of freshness. This is an important, when you taste a wine, you know, Ugo is also, besides a winemaker, is also a sommelier. So been working as a sommelier for a long time. A bright color indicates the acidity in a particular wine, and this color is very bright. So I presume there's going to be a lot of freshness in this wine. So the nose, nice. Again, these fruits and flowers all the time, and a touch of, you know, stone as well in the nose. Particularly the flower looks like, again, the violet. Violet is very typical of a young Sangiovese. Young Sangioveses, they usually have this very vibrant smell of wild rose sometimes, and violet. You have wild rose, violet, you have geranium as well. It's kind of a earthiness to it. And there's a marked note of tart cherry. This one is tart cherry, like a crunchy cherry, which is another descriptor typical of young Sangiovese. Yeah. And again, this recurring note of, you know, like I said before, like a strawberry candy, strawberry jelly, or blackberry jelly, you know, typical of the wines made with carbonic maceration. And it's evident trademark of the wines from this winery. Let's see the palate. Wow. I'm going to repeat myself, but it's energetic, corroborating almost. This freshness is almost, you know, I'm almost electrocuted by the energy of this wine. And like you said before, this wine smells and tastes like a Brunello from 30, 40 years ago. Now, we were not alive 40 years ago. And and we were probably 1-2 year old, but we weren't drinking Brunello back then. I started drinking Brunello later on, after college, for sure, because I couldn't afford to drink it before. But when I taste now old Sangioveses from Chianti, from Montepulciano, from Montalcino, they have this energy still after 40, 50 years. And I can recognize this, you know, it's fantastic. It's almost cocky, almost vibrant, almost arrogant. You know, it's like it's almost cocky, yeah. So it's full of energy. Yeah. It's got an incredible freshness, a mouth-watering explosion of red fruits, and this aspect of jasmine tea, you know, very elegant tea as well. It's a wine that shows the true soul of Sangiovese, like I said before. You know, and the tannin, it's more present than in the cab by paradox, because of course it's a 2022, so it's more concentrated, but it's still beautifully integrated with the structure of the wine. And only using concrete, stainless steel and concrete without oak is very difficult to manage the tannin of a young Sangiovese like you guys did. So not only the passion, not only the vision, but there's some technical knowledge from you guys. Because you don't do this by chance. This tannin is the result of good technical skills.
You know, again, it's thanks to the to the taste we have, because we were tasting the wine every single day from the tank during the maceration. After we step inside the tank, stamping the grapes, the mast was sitting in the bottom, in touch with the stems and the skins. And so you need to be very careful, because you can't leave it there forever, because at that time the mast is fermenting. So you also have alcohol, like 5, 6, 8% in alcohol. So you extract more from the woody part of the stems and the skins and the seeds. And so we were tasting the wine every single day, even 2 times per day, like, we are almost there, almost there. Once we tasted, it was like, we liked it, let's do it. And and was in the afternoon when in this case, this tank that was ready, and we had to press and do everything until late night the
Wow.
day. But when
Wow.
it's time, like we couldn't wait till the morning, because then it could be too long to extract
Too
too
much.
much
Yeah.
and to have like green tannins, like to have too much texture that then is not balanced with the body.
Yeah. Really good.
It's a nightmare during the harvest. It's a nightmare. You never know when you leave home, but you never know when you go back.
And
And
this
if
year,
you have a
particularly
wife,
2024.
if you have a wife at
2024.
home waiting for you, is a nightmare.
Okay. Cheers to Valeria.
Cheers to my wife. That she's now in Bali with her mother having yoga classes and
Oh, living the
massages.
dream.
And
My
I'm
wife,
here working, paying
my
bills.
wife is in Denver. My wife is in Denver and she's got a cold. So cheers to Mary as well. Poor
Cheers
Mary.
to
She's
Mary.
working in Denver right now. She had 2 days. She could visit the city. She's in the hotel with fever, cold, and yeah. But
Poor,
she'll,
poor
she'll get
Mary.
better. Yeah. Well, poor Mary there, she had to marry me. That's her main problem. The flu is gonna last for a week. The marriage with me for a long time, hopefully. So next wine. Okay, now my heart is melting right now. Hold on a second, because this is I'm gonna cry now. My 2 dogs. Yeah. So this is a project that we did together with the guys from Bakkanali. Perbacco wine selection, and the wine, Bailey and Charlie, with these 2 beautiful, smelly, crazy, stupid, lovely dogs that are my dogs that I love with all my heart. So we did a collaboration with this one. Well, you did most of the job, of course. You did the harvest. It's not a selection of grapes. It's just a different way that we intended to use during the fermentation, especially in 2022. When, like you said, you do this type of maceration that is different. And at the beginning, I was afraid that maybe, I wanted to create a wine that would be a little bit, that would have a little bit of a higher extraction of tannins, a little bit more of texture, probably. I wanted the wine to be a little bit more full bodied. So I came to the winery and we took a parcel of almost 1,000 liters. So we made around 1,200 bottles, something like that, of this wine, with a little bit of, we pressed the grapes and we destemmed them. So it's going to be the same grapes as the previous wine that we tasted, but a little bit different, because this was the goal that I had, to have a wine that would be a little bit more fuller bodied, a little bit more texture, with a little bit more tannins. Let's see if the result is a good result.
Thank God we made it, Francesco, because it's having a new terroir. Of course, we wanted to experiment everything also, because
Sure.
we didn't arrive with a clear idea of what we wanted, but we with the principle of listening what nature was giving us, because we don't manage, we don't manipulate anything, we listen what we get from nature. And so we parcelized every single vineyard, and we also tried to use different materials. We fermented in stainless steel, in concrete, in oak, and also to try to destem in a classic style in Sangiovese from Tuscany. It's
Mhm.
been a great experience to understand better the terroir and to see the potential. And for us, it's very important to see also the aging,
Yeah.
how it's going to be in the two different styles. So for us, it's so important. And thank God you had this idea, because
Yeah.
then we repeated that in 23, in 24, because it's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
important to always have a comparison. Because right now, until we're gonna have at least 10 vintages in our shoulders, because we
Sure.
only have one try per year, so we can't have experiments during the year other times to try.
Exactly.
We only have once a year, and so it's so important every year to try to see how the wine react to the different techniques, because we really want to try to get the best from nature every vintage that is different, to don't put our print too strong in the wine. I don't know if I express myself.
Yeah. You want to keep a low degree of sophistication. You want the terroir to
Yeah.
speak, and not just the hand of the
But
winemaker.
it's difficult because you don't
It's
want
the
to,
most difficult.
because everything changed the wine, like the day of the harvest, the how long you keep in touch with the skins, for how long you fermented, for how long you move the wine. So we really try to listen the wine, try to get information, be open to listen.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. I share the screen, and I show the. Yeah, of course. Oh my God, my heart is melting right now. Look how stupid they look. And myself included, of course. So this is Bailey. Yeah, this is the day of my wedding. This is Bailey, and this is Charlie. I love these two dogs. They're crazy, especially Bailey's crazy. But this wine has got the same energy of Bailey. Bailey's so energetic. He's a 24/7. He runs around. His dog drives me crazy. Anyways, yeah, this is the label. It's a beautiful label. You designed the label because you used to be like you said before, a graphic designer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is all the technical information. This is the brochure, and I have an amazing surprise for everybody that is online. Erica, shall we spoil? Erica doesn't want me to spoil the surprise, but I will anyways. In your face, Erica. Yeah, the energy of Sangiovese. This is the brochure that I created because we have created a line of wines, and this is the crazy wine. This is the crazy one, the different wine. But we created a line of wine where we have a Brunello, a Vino Nobile Reserve, and a Super Tuscan as well. I'll talk about this later. Let's talk about this very wine. So yeah, you have all the information here. Bottles produced, actually 1,300, so 1,000 liters. So pretty much 1,300 bottles made. And yeah, let's go ahead with the tasting. I'll show them later. Yeah, like I was saying before, this compared to the previous wine is very interesting to taste them next to each other, because the previous wine is closer to your idea of Sangiovese. This is a little bit more extract, a little bit more textured in the palate. And this is what we were looking forward when we made this. And I think the result is beautiful. I love this wine very much. Yeah, okay. The color is another lively red ruby color. The bouquet is intense. Again, you have these notes of wild rose, tart cherry as well. These notes of currants, this fresh violet as well, and there's a touch in this one. There's a touch of lavender as well. Lavender in this one because it's got a very intense bouquet. Probably the bouquet is a little bit more intense than the other one, probably. Both of incredible quality. Let's see what the palate offers. Yeah, you have the same energy. It's very vibrant. It's like the most energetic expression of Sangiovese, more texture than the previous one. So you have a little bit more body, and you have a little bit more of tannin as well at the end. Yeah, because this is what we were looking for with this one. The tanning is perfectly integrated, and also you have this mineral finish, you know, very savory, very salty and mineral. You know, it makes you crave for a second glass, for a third glass. These are all wines that can be enjoyed within 30 minutes. You can finish the bottle easily because all of them, they have freshness and minerality. So they're not gonna tire your palate, you know. They always lively and vibrant, and my palate craves another glass and another glass and another glass till I get drunk with these wines. That's what I usually do. I think of all the wines that we made, hurry up if you want to buy it now, because I'm drinking all these wines, and some of it we use it for the wedding as well. So, you know, I think we finished already 400 bottles because we released the wine about 3 months ago, and we sold some of it to the restaurant. We didn't introduce it to our members yet, but now it's perfect. Now it's ready. Yeah. So yeah, beautiful, beautiful. You know, the finish of this wine is lingering. The finish of, you know, tart cherry, blood orange as well. Yeah, very fulfilling, very fulfilling. I'm so glad about this wine. You know,
I'm glad
I
too,
might have cried as
Francesco.
well.
I have to tell you something. Allora,
Yeah.
while the wine was still back in the tank in the cellar, I had a client from Florence, and I let him try your wine from the tank, and he asked me to make this time Sangiovese for him as well. So this last year we made it for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he really loved it.
Yeah. Okay, but
This one,
you're not gonna have a label that is cooler than this one.
I know. But the 22, you took everything from 22, so you are the only one that has it.
Yeah, that's good. No, I love it. I couldn't be happier with the label, with the wine, with everything, you know. Judging by how drunk people were at my wedding, I think it was a good result. It was a great success. It was a good indicator that the wine was appreciated. And most people at the wedding were working in the wine industry. So it's a good sign that, you know, this is the only wine there was no bottles left. We finished something like 70 bottles for the wedding. Crazy.
Wow.
Crazy. Plus 70 bottles of champagne, 30 bottles of vodka. It was crazy. I don't remember anything from my wedding. I'm glad I have the video. Yeah, this is great. So now I'm gonna piss Erica off because I'm gonna introduce the lineup. The lineup. We have the labels. We printed the labels finally after working on them for a long time. Can you see it?
Wow, rock and roll.
Yeah. We made a wine, Bacco Glam. This is our Super Tuscan with David Bowie. Bacco Jazz. This is the Vino Nobile. Bacco Blues is the Vino Nobile Reserva. Bacco Rock, Brunello di Montalcino.
Wow.
So this is the project that started in 2019, and then COVID hit and many things happened. Last year, we were too busy to release this project, and we're finally releasing it this year. So we're going to have another online tasting. Yeah, we want to know what you think about this Charlie and Bailey wine, the Bailey and Charlie wine, and also what you think about the labels. Look, it's a local graphic designer did that for us. You know, you have David Bowie, you have Miles Davis, you have Janis Joplin, and you have B.B. King here. And this is the back of the label. So the wines will be available, crossing fingers, next week. We're going to send an offer, and we're going to do another online tasting with all these wines. So Deborah, fantastic. Okay, thank you, Deborah. Hopefully the wines will be good. I'm sure this is good. I'm sure. I'm so confident about this wine. This is so good, and this is exactly what I wanted to offer to our members. Again, as a pre-climate change Brunello, pre-climate change Sangiovese, what Sangiovese used to taste 30, 35 years ago, 40 years ago, you know, and it's very interesting, very interesting. Okay, now last wine, Fiorenzo. Bakkanali, Fiorenzo 2022, the single vineyard. Who is Fiorenzo, Ugo?
Fiorenzo is the man that sold to us 6,000 meters of vineyard. Is the name of who planted it with his wife, and we wanted to dedicate it. Is the best piece of vineyard, of piece of land we have, is the one overlooking the valley with the sunset. I mean, it's crazy. It's the one in front of the cellar, and when we felt in love for the property, was, I mean, actually when we checked the seller, this piece of land, this little vineyard, it wasn't included. As I told you, we purchased different plots from different owners, and one of them was Fiorenzo. And right after the first harvest, right after the fermentation of this plot, with Sebastian, we were like shocked about the quality of this
Wow.
wine, and about the
Ooh,
texture, the smell. It's like this orange, the bloody orange you have, the citrus you have, and the freshness and the complexity. It's super. Also, is the most red part of the vineyard, the ironish part, and the
yeah,
aftertaste. It has this kind of ironish and bloodish taste,
like
texture.
raw meat. Yeah,
Yeah, and we wanted to dedicate to him. That was like our grandfather. He's the one that teach me how to drive the tractor, how to work the
yeah.
soil, and we were so grateful to him for all the help he gave us.
Wow.
And so, yeah, and they are so happy. They are local couple from Poggioferro, from this tiny village, like 10 houses. And when we brought the bottle to him, saying, "Hey, Fiorenzo, we named our top wine with your name in honor of you," he was like shocked. It was like
Yeah.
crying with his
He's
wife, because
a
they are
great
so happy
person.
that the young people took over and gave a new life to the place that where they were born, and they gave all their life.
Amazing. This is very romantic. Very, very romantic. So, yeah, I shared the screen. The information. You have all the same information. The sulfites again. Well, Sangiovese, obviously. So 2022 sulfites again less than 25 milligrams per liter. Vineyard is pretty much 1 acre, 0.6 hectares. Same soil composition, marble carbonate and limestone rocks, plus the iron part of the soil, like you mentioned before. Altitude 600 meters. Organic farming, biodynamic conversion, indigenous yeast. And again, this is made with carbonic maceration and whole bunch clusters as well. Aging, as well as the previous two wines, is in concrete. Production 4,000 bottles, and price is only 47 euros. So, wow. Even the color is slightly darker than the regular Rosso, more intense, more concentrated, and also more intense in the palate as well. Let's see also what the palate offers. So it's a beautiful ruby red color, more intense than the previous one, like I said, with purple reflections almost. Color of beautiful intensity. Yeah, the palate has got an extraordinary intensity. With notes of maraschino cherry, this blood orange that you were mentioning before. Yeah, red roses, strawberry, this beautiful part of, lavender as well, as the one with the dogs on the label, lavender,
Yeah.
orange blossoms, and this note of whetstone, this minerality from the soil, almost like iron, almost like raw meat, like you were saying before, almost like blood, because of the iron. Because the iron in the soil usually gives birth to wines that sometimes they have this smell like of raw meat and taste as well, because that's the taste and the smell of the iron. So let's see what the palate offers. Wow. Wow. The palate is rich, very rich, more opulent than the previous wines. But we still that energy and that freshness, typical of Sangiovese and the trademark of course, the trademark, of course, of the winery. Yeah, it's yeah, it's not full bodied in terms of, you know, structure, in terms of alcohol, because it's very elegant, very vibrant. But it's the quality of the flavors that hits me, you know, and that makes this wine much more intense than the previous wines. Incredible overall quality. And
Yeah, the
even the
finish
tannin. The
so
tannin is
long.
more firm on this one than the previous ones, but it's perfectly integrated. It's perfectly carved, you know. It's a tannin of infinite elegance as well. I think this is, you know, it's a Sangiovese masterpiece, a thoroughbred Sangiovese without any layers, you know. Um, it's like a beautiful woman, Erica, that is fully naked. Yeah, without sophistication, without makeup, just raw beauty. Yeah, what a beautiful boy as well. I don't know. What do you think? A beautiful man. Okay. Yeah, it's beautiful. You know, the non-sophistication of this wine enhances the quality of what Sangiovese is in that particular area. So, you know, it's not easy to make a wine like this, and it takes a lot of work, like you said. And like, you know, we saw on the video, but it's completely worth it, you know. And I'm pretty sure when you came to my restaurant, all excited that you had just signed the paper with the notary, you were all excited and you say, it's going to be hard work. I hope it's going to be worth it. Well, yeah, it's worth it. So
Yeah,
congratulations. That's good.
grazie. Thank you so much. Yeah, I
Nice.
mean, this wine, the taste of this wine stays in the mouth for minutes. Like you
It's long
still
lasting.
feel it, and it never goes away. It's the
I'm,
taste
I'm,
of the
I'm pretty
moment.
sure that Mr. Fiorenzo is, you know, is very happy that he left the winery in good hands. I'm going to share the screen to do a little bit of a recap for the prices, because there's a lot of passion, a lot of emotion, a lot of romance, but we are here to sell as well. So let's cut to the chase. The price for the rosé, the first wine is 35 euros. The cab is also 35 euros, as well as the Bakkanali Rosso, the Sangiovese, 35 euros. The Bailey and Charlie is 37 euros, whereas the last wine, Bakkanali Rosso Cru Fiorenzo IGT, is 47 euros. So I offered a deal. So 12 bottles combined in a case. So 2 bottles for each wine. So 2 Rosa, 2 Cab, 2 Rosso, 2 Fiorenzo. But for Charlie and Bailey, the price is going to be 552 euros plus 30 euros of shipping. For 12 bottles of your choice, if you want to mix and match, you have a discount of 5% plus 60 euros for shipping. I know shipping is 120 euros for me, but I make discount on shipping. 24 bottles of your choice, 10% discount and 100 euros of shipping. 36 bottles or more, 10% discount and 40 euros shipping per case. Plus, you get this incredible perk. You get to pet Bailey and Charlie when you come to Montepulciano. You can also walk them. Yeah. Erica is buying 36 bottles here. I want to show Erica a little bit. Sorry. She's
Ciao, Erika.
cold. She's always cold. Yeah, we are here in the restaurant, Osteria del Borgo. It's closed for holidays, but I'm here hustling. Yeah. Okay. You guys have any question online to Ugo before Ugo goes to sleep, because it's 11:30 p.m. here. Restaurant owners can be up this late. Winemakers, you know, they have to go to sleep. I see
Tomorrow
Steven has,
morning at 5, I'm gonna be awake.
Ciao,
yeah.
Ugo, Francesco. Can we ask you guys some questions and make some comments?
Can I activate your video, Steven?
Sure. Sure.
Okay, there you are.
Okay. Yeah, cool. All right. So thank you very much for doing this tasting. These are just incredible wines. Francesco, your wine that you guys did, one of my first Brunelos I ever had was a Pseudo Pacente from the 80s. And it was like velvet in my mouth. It was one of the most wonderful experiences.
Yeah.
And when I first tried this, it was velvet in the mouth. It was
Wow.
fantastic.
That's a hell of a compliment. You know, Ciro Pacenti
Wow.
is a great winemaker. Well,
Yeah.
that's a good compliment. Wow.
Well, that's the truth. It's and thank you so much for continuing to do these tastings. If people haven't been to Osteria del Borgo, you really have to go. And
Thank
Ugo,
you.
molto grazie, veramente delizioso,
Grazie,
fantastico.
Steven.
Thank
Stephen
you.
and Davide are two amazing friends from they live in, well, they're in Temecula now. You guys in Temecula? No, Petaluma. Sorry.
Right now, yeah, Petaluma.
Yeah, Petaluma, San Francisco. So when I went to San Francisco, they drove me around. We went to Napa. You know, it was a lot of fun. I love you guys.
What a
Thank you.
compliment. Thank you so much. For us to be compared to a Brunello, I mean, it's such an honor. And I was born in 85. So for people that had the chance to taste wine from that time that I wasn't able to drink it is a testimony that, I mean, that we are doing something special. And thank you so much for sharing this experience.
So,
Bravo,
guys, these
molto, molto
wines
bene.
are younger than we would usually drink. And what is your advice about cellaring these wines?
Is it Lisa?
What's the ideal drinking window for these?
Ideal drinking window, Ugo. What do you think?
For my point of view, these wines are super alive right now. I'm super pleasant. I mean, they're very energetic, and I almost finish a bottle myself right now of
Yeah.
Fiorenzo here, having the chat with you. But of course, if you keep it in the cellar, they can stay. I mean, I don't have any proof that they can stay for 20 years because we just began. I don't have 20 years old bottle to show you, to prove you. But for sure, with this acidity and these tannins, these wines can last for 10 years, 15 years, I hope 20 years easily. But right now they are, I mean, from my point of view, they're already very pleasant. I mean, with a piece of meat, I will just, finish it right now.
Yeah. So yeah, then this is, as a sommelier, this is the commonest question that I have, you know, shelf life of a wine. I always say that it's all on the personal taste as well. For instance, in this stage of my life, you know, our palates are evolving, like our, you know, opinions and everything about our body, you know. So in this stage of my life, I like young, energetic red wines, whereas I like older white wines. So I'm the opposite right now. So I tend to cellar my white wines and I tend to drink my young red wines because I like acidity, I like this freshness in this stage of my life. But easily these wines can be aged for 30 years. Like Ugo said, we don't have proofs because they're the youngest winery around. So they don't have an historic cellar where they can taste the wines every year. But the acidity of this wine makes that they can be cellared for 35 years easily.
Also, what
But I like to drink them
very
now.
make the difference is what you want to do with this wine. Like the great wines, I remember when I went to the Soldera cellar or Biondi Santi
Wow.
cellar, when you
Yeah.
taste the wines from the tanks. I mean, the wines are already super good because the wines is always good. It just change the shadows of the personality. So right now you have the acidity and tannins much like a baby, much strong and active, energetic. Through the years, they're gonna smooth. They're gonna be much softer. But then I would not pair with meat like now because meat has a taste, has a fatness, and when you eat that kind of food, you need something to clean the palate. You need something strong to to compete with that kind of taste. If you have an old vintage that is all about the elegance, the smoothness, then you can have a so strong tasting food. Otherwise, the food cover the taste of the wine. So for a aged Brunello, for example, I would just maybe enjoy the bottle with itself or with a piece of cheese. That's it. But with strong food, you need a strong wine with acidity, with personality. So the same bottle, different time of opening is a different match with the situation, I would say.
Yep.
That's my idea.
Thank you, Lisa. How are you guys doing? Everything all right? Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
thanks. We invited friends. You told me to invite friends. I invited friends.
Yeah, but it's great. The more the merrier, you know?
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
well, that's-
Thank you.
This is
Grazie,
what-
Ugo. Grazie, Ugo.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. Absolutely fantastic. And thrilled that we are having an opportunity to taste your wines and experience them with the same passion that you made them, you know. And Francesco, when we met you in October of 23, you changed our whole dynamic of how we think about wines. You really did. It was something very special. And no offense to those Northern Californian people, because we always do love our California wines, but this changed our palate. We and love that. Absolutely loved it. Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you guys so much. You know, it was a fun evening when I met you guys.
Yes.
Thank you. I
Yes.
look forward to seeing you on my birthday as
Yes.
well.
Yes, we'll see you May 2nd.
Our daughter is in
Awesome.
Florence right now doing a semester abroad, enjoying herself, of course.
Living the
And so-
dream.
She is living the dream.
Exactly. So why should she have all the fun? We're going to come over for a couple of weeks and spend a little time with Sandy and Phil, and we look forward to seeing you.
I can tell. I know where your daughter is right now. She studies in Florence. It's 11:37 p.m. on a Sunday night. Right now she's singing karaoke at that pub. Ugo, what's that? Ugo, before being a winemaker, Ugo was an incredible, you know, he was living the best possible life. Salesperson, he was living in Florence. He knows all the bars in all Italy. It's unbelievable. Red Gardner, what's called the one with the sing karaoke?
Yab or Colle Bereto. She's gonna be in the city center for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's their newest place they go to is Cucuya. I don't know.
Oh, that's a new
Yes.
one. That's a new
Cucuya,
one.
yes. Actually, she just flew in from Barcelona for the weekend, so you know, living her best life.
Okay. Okay, that's great. So
It's rough being her right now, but
it is. It is. Oh, poor her.
grazie Ugo,
Poor thing.
grazie.
Grazie a voi.
I'll
Thank
see you guys
so
in May.
much.
Okay.
So I want to
Thank you.
thank you everyone for being here, for listening this story that of course for me and Sebastian, it's everything. We invested all our saves and we put all our life in this project, and I'm so honored to show this experience tonight with you guys. Thank you, Francesco, for giving me this opportunity. And
Grazie,
to be
Ugo.
honest, I have to say that we are imported in the States, and the price that you can find the wines are like the double that Francesco is offering, because you don't have the importation. Everything is direct, like from producer to you. And so it's a great opportunity to get these wines from
I'm honest. I
yeah.
never have a crazy markups, you know.
and you can check you can check this. It's literally is the double price you find in the States. So it's thank you. Francesco, you do a great job to link producers
Grazie, Ugo.
to final like drinkers and clients, because you also, you don't just sell a bottle, you share an emotion, you share a story. You share like the passion of the producer to the people that then drinking it. So you do the biggest job, and thank you.
Thank you, Ugo. Thank you. You have been doing this job because before you were a salesperson, you know, but it's easy to sell the wines that you believe in and the wines that you like, and it's easy, especially when you meet amazing people, all the people we have online, you know, all the people in the wine club. This is I call you guys my crazy American family. That's what you guys are to me. American, Europe as well. We have them all over the world. You know, it's something magic, and you know, wine is about connecting people, about, you know, having a good time, building good memories. You know, about people, places you visited, and sometimes about forgetting as well. You know, when you drink, you can drink to remember or drink to forget. This is your choice. It depends on how much you want to drink. Last night I was drinking. I was drinking to forget, probably, because I think I was out with my cousin, too many bottles of champagne, you know, like, but but you know, it's easy when you meet such nice people, especially like the members of our wine club. So I think, oh yeah, Christopher wrote to us. Francesco, if Mary's in Denver and needs anything, please let us know. I will let you know. She's feeling better, Chris. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Good to hear. Please let us know.
All righty. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you. We'll see you guys soon. And grazie mille, Ugo.
Thank you.
Grazie mille.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. So,
Ciao, everyone.
grazie
Thank
mille,
you,
Ugo.
thank you so much. We had a great time. Lots of
Ciao.
fun, fabulous
Grazie,
wine. It was the
ciao.
best. Great time.
Ciao.
And now we're gonna feast. I'm gonna make a pappardella, so let's go.
Oh, nice. That's amazing.
Bye-bye.
Oh, what time
So
can we come
thank you.
over? What time can we come over? We'll be there.
Sounds good. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Matthew Ansel, as well. Thank you, Stephen and Davidia. Thank you, Chris and Annette. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Appreciate it. And everybody that's watching online. Grazie, Ugo. Grazie mille. I want to keep everybody posted about this new lineup of wines. So this week, Eric and I will work hard on this new lineup of wines. Feel free to write us an email if you want to order some extra wines from the wines that we tasted today. For the ones that, you know, would like to order the wines from Bakkanali, this online tasting will be online on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. That is Perbacco Wine Club Montepulciano, and on our Facebook page, which is Perbacco Wine Club on Facebook. Thank you guys very much. See you soon. Thank you all.
Buonasera. Good night.
Grazie mille, Ugo. Buonasera. Ciao, ciao. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.